Call this meeting to order at 7:08 p.m. This is a work session meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, May 14th, 2013. I ask everyone if you would please rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Welcome council members. Roll call, please.
Mayor Dumpy.
Here.
Councilmembers D'Amato.
Here.
Short. Here. Conklin.
Here.
Delariva.
Here.
Sondermeyer.
Here.
Yasi.
Also with us are municipal clerk Jane McCarthy, our borough attorney Fred Semrau, and our borough engineer Paul Donafosky. Hey Paul, how are you? Thanks for coming tonight. This is an official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale on January 2nd, 2013. Public notification of the date, time, and place of this official meeting was faxed to all local news media and posted at the Borough Hall. As per state fire code, I am to acknowledge there are two emergency exits in this chamber. The door which you walk through, an exit to my left if an emergency was to arise. Rise from your seats, walk orderly down the stairs, out the building, and if anyone has questions on that fire code, you can raise your hand at this time. Okay, seeing no one, there's no need at this time for an early executive session. We do have some non-agenda items, and this is what we do. We explain those non-agenda items now, in case anyone wishes to speak to them during early public comment. And those non-agenda items are, we will be authorizing 2 special meetings for budget presentations. And Jane, those meeting dates are May 30th at 8 p.m. and June 6th at 7:30 p.m. These will be presentations given by our budget chair, Councilman Yazdi, and the public can will know the budget inside and out and ask any questions they may have at that time. So that's a non-agenda item we will be putting under new business for authorization. Jane, did we have any others? There will be one other item, non-agenda item. We'll be giving an authorization to our police chief to seek bids for a new vehicle. And that will be the second non-agenda item, if anyone wishes to speak to those. Okay, any questions from the council? Do I have a motion to open early public comment? All in favor? Aye. Anyone wishing to speak to an agenda item, and if anyone's here for the Rafkin Road project, you can wait on that because we'll have a public hearing specific on that ordinance. But if anyone wishes to speak to another agenda item, please come up, state your name and address for the record, and we'll go from there. Seeing no one, motion to close. All in favor? Aye. Okay, reports from professionals, department heads, committees, liaisons, governing body. Madam Clerk, do you have anything?
Just as a reminder that obviously today is the last day to register for primary election. The forms upstairs if you need to register. And Memorial Day parade is May 27th. We'll be beginning in Bloomingdale and taking 12 women and one person.
Okay, wonderful. Fred, do you have anything for us?
The only thing, Mayor, is we're working on the foreclosures. I think there's about 18 of them, properties altogether. And one of the things we've done, set aside just a short detour, is normally you get title insurance when you purchase, homeowners, things of that nature, property. In foreclosures, you can obtain from a title company a certificate of regularity. That means when you go to transfer title, the prospective purchaser won't question, nor will there be a claim for the quality of the title that you're paying. We're in the process of getting a quote. We're also in the process of having a title company that really specializes in foreclosures to just look at where we are right now and see if in fact what the quote would be to get that type of insurance, because it will enhance the value of the property once we foreclose and then proceed to sell the property. If a property owner was to come forward and try to redeem, they have to pay this kind of work that the borough is going to set forth. But it's not putting us on a major detour, but I think it's worth noting that we'll have that price quote for the council. But it's something that gives you, that extra layer of really assurance that the property is has clear ownership.
Okay, and just for the record, what Mr. Semrau is referring to is the borough has maybe 10 to a dozen, they're pretty much flag lots, they're pretty much useless pieces of land that were privately owned, and then the owners failed to pay their taxes, so the borough has a tax lien on them. And this governing body has chosen, and it's a long process, to foreclose on those properties for two reasons. One, we will then be the owner, because there's a tax lien, and two, we're paying taxes to the Board of Education and the county on those lands, totaling $15,000 annually on these combined small parcels. So that's what we're doing here, just to clarify. Okay. Does any councilperson have a report? Anyone?
Well, I guess I can tell you that the item on the agenda tonight from the Board of Health was developed at the Board of Health meeting for the tobacco, use of the tobacco funds that we will be discussing later. Also met with Paul and Ed and Ross Kushner at the Riverwalk back here along our property, and hopefully we will have that report hopefully by June 1st. And I think what I'm going to say at every meeting from now on is the best hidden gem in Bloomingdale, New Jersey is the garden at the Senior Center. Monday we have Master Gardener volunteers there, and just when spring comes, it really comes to that garden. It is a beautiful, beautiful area, and I hope everybody gets a chance to go and sit, eat lunch there, take a little walk, because it really is a beautiful asset, and these volunteers work very hard at it.
Okay, thank you, and you're absolutely right. It's gorgeous setup, and actually, granted, it was a big part of that. Master Gardens is here. Sorry?
The biggest
The
part.
biggest part, and Bloomingdale resident. And again, we thank you every chance we get for what you're doing back there. It's beautiful. Anything else, Councilwoman?
That's all I have.
Anyone else? Just a couple quick things on my end. Most of what I've been working on is on the agenda. I copied you all on my mayor's report just to bring you up to speed on a few things. Firehouse roof, which we authorized a few meetings ago, has been repaired, though a new minor leak has shown up, so we're working on that. No additional monies. The contractor's honoring his work. I'm meeting with PSE&G to review back to 2006 all the roads they have done work on, and trying to see if we can do any infrared or repairing on what I feel is trenched and has settled over time. Walter T. Wergen restrooms, waiting on final design and spec to go out to bid, and hopefully sometime in June we'll be at that step. The heating and air conditioning we authorized as well, about 90% complete, and we're going to see a big difference in usage there. Road paving, Jeffries Knowles, which was funded last year. Jeffries Knowles and the Borough Hall side parking lot should begin sometime after May 20th when Tilcon begins producing asphalt under the co-op situation. So that'll be beginning May 20th. I no longer waited. New road paving, we're going to be doing a bond tonight, or excuse me, an ordinance tonight to fund some paving this year. And as I stated, we are doing a 20-year layout of roads for a plan, so nothing is missed. And this year I think we'll concentrate on DeLazier Place, 3rd Street, intersection of Reeve and Oak, Sophia, sections of Clark Street. And we'll probably be about a $200,000 budget on that. We'll talk about it more on the ordinance portion. A little bit of Hillside section and Red Twig and Star Lake Road intersection as well. Sloan Park, waiting final DEP release. We're hoping to go to bid in June on that. The Van Dam collapse sidewalk, we're hoping in the next week or so that'll begin. Green Acres Rossi update, just to bring you to speed. Our Rossi is our recreation open space inventory that is on the records with Green Acres. Fred and I met with Green Acres earlier in the week, and we need to update that. They have parcels that we don't even own on it, and we need to just clear it up, what we intend to be there. Matter of fact, I just received today from the Environmental Commission the final draft of our new open space master plan. So we need to amend that, send that to the planning board, and get that done. But the Rossi's just kind of convoluted. There's land that just isn't ours, that shouldn't appear on our Rossi. So that's what that meant there, and I'll bring you up to speed. We'll have to do it by ordinance to clean it up to Green Acres. Cleanup day is Saturday, 10 a.m. at Bogue Pond. Right now, I'm over 220 participants who RSVP'd, so I hope you guys can make it. The basketball courts at Bogue and DeLasia have been sealed, lined next week. I'm in the process of pricing flood insurance on the animal shelter. As you know, when we flood, we average $40,000 to $50,000 in cost to repair. We've never had flood insurance on that. So I've had what are called elevation certificates done by our survey company to now price flood, and I'll bring it to the council to see how you want to proceed. Just an update on our Canalon mechanic shared service is going very well. Our mechanics are, servicing and repairing at their need, and it's a good win-win for both towns. Our Canalon jet vac shared service, which is new, will begin in the next few weeks. Part of our mapping program, which we've done on our stormwater mapping, identified about a dozen basins that need to be jetted and cleaned. We also identified about 20 that the county owns, and the county's been up here cleaning them for us as well. So we're doing well there. And our engineer and I and our planner and Dan Hagberg attended a Highlands meeting last week. This is to certify us to take the next step, which will be a slow process, to bring some home rule back to Bloomingdale on certain exemptions we can help homeowners with. It's a cumbersome process. We have a lot of learning to do yet, and Paul's going to help us through that, and that could be good for Bloomingdale, and it could also be difficult for Bloomingdale. So I'll bring you up to speed on that. I just wanted to let you know, and we're in constant contact with the Highlands. Clean Communities Grant, we were awarded $13,241 this year. And on our consent agenda, you will see we also were awarded $250,000 for Phase 2 of Rafkin Road, which we hope to begin next year. So that was a nice bit of news we received. So that's what I have. Anyone have questions on my reports? Okay. Yes?
Have you gotten any, we were talking about this before, any update from the county on the work that they're doing?
The county did the curb drops in anticipation of soon to be paving. I did get feedback, they're not going to pave until they do the drainage, which is running from in front of Mrs. DeLager's house, that drainage problem we've had for a long time. Their anticipation is when school's out. They don't want to close the road during school. So it's absolutely a late June, July paving for one hour.
But Mrs. DeLazier said that they haven't been there in Walker.
No, they met with our captain, Mullet, police captain, regarding the project. Drainage is first, and then paving, but it will be after school's closed. Because that would be a major disruption for both schools. So I just actually received that email today. Thank you. Moving along, I need a motion to approve our consent agenda. Who makes that motion? Do I have a second?
Second?
And here, we're just simply removing John Baker from the fire department roles. We need, again, notice the $250,000 Rafkin Road Phase 2, and a proclamation for May 2013 as Older Americans Month. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Pending business. We will be introducing tonight by title our zoning map. As a part of the codification that has our ordinance review committee has worked a number of years quite hard on, and it's now with Coded Systems for its final codification. They're back and forth with various changes, but the one thing we need to do is adopt our zoning map. You've all been copied on it. It's again, to match our zoning and to be codified ultimately. So, again, we are just simply introducing by title for second and final reading, Jane, on May 28th. Second final reading, May 28th. So who makes the motion to introduce by title ordinance 19-2013, adopting the updated zoning map of the Borough of Bloomingdale? Do you have a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
Just for the record, there's no zoning changes.
Right.
This is just memorializing the decisions and policies of the past and making it part of the
Correct.
municipal code.
So
Thank
the zoning map that I had, the copy of 2009, was never adopted?
It existed as the borough's master plan, but it was never adopted by ordinance, and that's where we go. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes. Okay. The next item is, we introduce an ordinance which sets guidelines and rules for utility companies on when they come to Bloomingdale to do work, what the requirement is under our code for them to repave the road. And the ordinance defines square footage. If it's such an area, it has to be infrared. If it's a certain amount of size, it has to be center curb, and then a certain point is curb to curb. So what happened, we introduced, and it's quite a detailed ordinance, so we didn't have a chance to finalize and advertise. So I need a motion to table ordinance 24, 2013 to May 28th for 7:30 PM final reading. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, we just did 13. That was, a motion to table ordinance 14, 2013, paving requirements for utility companies. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? And we'll adopt on the 28th. Roll call?
Councilmembers Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes. Thank you. Next item is second and final reading and public hearing on ordinance 10, 2013, the municipal towing ordinance. Have a public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, so that a motion may be made and be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, the County of Passaic, and State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 21 municipal towing.
And I need a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Wait a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to ordinance 10, 2013? This is simply amending and updating our municipal towing ordinance, requirements for various vendors who want to bid the service for our police department. This was recommended by our police chief and worked closely with Fred's firm on its final product. So, anyone wishing to speak to that? Seeing no one, motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now who makes the motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Delariva.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
Conklin. Tomato.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is our second and final reading and public hearing on ordinance 17, 2013, the Rafkin Road sidewalk improvements. Need a public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, so the motion may be made and be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's, bond ordinance providing for sidewalk improvements along certain portions of Heather Lane, Knowles Road, Rafkin Road, Woodlot Road, in and by the Borough of Bloomingdale, New Jersey, appropriating $848,000. Therefore, including a grant in the amount of $200,000 expected to be received from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation, and authorizing the issuance of $807,000 bonds or notes of the borough, financing part of the cost thereof, and directing the special assessment of the cost thereof.
Thank you. Now I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak to Rafkin Road sidewalk paving curb project, please come on up, state your name and address for the record. Paul, do you want to stay where you are in case there's any questions that I need to direct your way? You're good there? Okay, yes, honey. Just say your name and address for the record, please.
Sonia Brennan, 6 Heather Lane, Bloomingdale. I have some questions about the sidewalk repair.
Sure.
My husband said in the last meeting that he was at, that the concrete is going to be 8 inches thick.
On the apron only.
8 inches on the apron,
On the apron.
4 inches on the walkways.
Okay. And now, will there be an underlayment of rebar or something underneath that concrete?
No, just clean snow.
I have a question about that, because the original sidewalks were on just dirt or stone. That is what's causing all of our sidewalks to degrade, okay? When the snow plows plow the snow, especially on Heather Lane and Rafkin Road, okay? That happens to be my property. It's this high, and the water goes underneath the sidewalk, and we have this, okay, all along. I had part of my sidewalk replaced 2 or 3 years ago, and they put rebar under it to keep it from doing that. Now, my question is, if we don't put rebar or something under there besides stone, we're going to have the same issue down the road. Can anything be done about that?
I'll defer to our engineer on that question.
Number one, sidewalks are traditionally not done with any kind of mesh or rebar. The purpose of rebar and concrete is to provide tensile strength. You're lifting because of drainage problems and the water not staying on the road, not because of a lack of rebar. Rebar I would not recommend. I will tell you the project includes complete curb replacement for the entire 6/10 of a mile. And my observations and inspections to date, without benefit of the survey, which is underway, indicates that most of the water does not stay in the gutter line where it belongs, does not get into the drains where it belongs. And I think that's one of your primary problems about why you're getting a lot of lifting. I don't know the situation underneath sidewalks and aprons, but I will tell you that when we're done, it's going to have 4 inches of clean stone, which will help the drainage. And my experience, my 40 years experience, and the last 25 years of municipal engineering, I don't have any complaints whatsoever from any other municipality about sidewalks having lifting problems without rebar. So I don't recommend it. It's an expense that I think you don't need to incur, and the residents are really going to incur it, not the borough.
Yes, maybe just move one, it's just a 2-year warranty on this, correct?
There's a 2-year warranty, or
So,
it's a 2-year guarantee.
in a 2-year period, water is getting under there, you'll know if they live. It'll be under warranty, so if they live, it's not going to have to fix it.
Okay. Now, will residents have the opportunity to hire the company that is doing this to replace 1 or 2 other pieces of their sidewalk at their own expense? Because I have 2 pieces of sidewalk that's just past where you're going to stop, okay? And those are my 2 worst pieces of sidewalk that are
Right.
like this.
Right, we had discussed, the assessment for each homeowner is going to be based on the linear footage at the end of the day.
I understand.
So I believe we had stated previously that, if it's a continuation of the sidewalk, if a resident wants more, we will allow that, and you will pay that, your fair share of that extended linear footage.
All right, because that's where my main problem is,
Mhm.
and you're stopping just short of
Okay.
where my main problem
Got it.
is.
Understand.
And I would like my sidewalk to match.
Agreed,
I'm fussy.
that would be good.
Tell
Yes, Heather Lane, yes.
But I just addressed the residents' concern.
Yeah.
You're going to adopt this ordinance tonight. The next step is that when I get the survey, we come up with a complete property owners list and an assessment, a preliminary assessment of everything that is going to be assessed to those property owners. It goes out to the residents, and I welcome phone calls to set up meetings and review any drainage problem, any kind of sidewalks that were recently replaced that are there that we can save, and everything along those lines. So it's a process. This is not the final process. This is the beginning of the process. So anyone that, when you get your preliminary assessment through the Borough of Bloomingdale, it'll have my phone number. We'll make appointments to see you. And I will make myself available mornings, evenings, and weekends, just to try to accommodate people for their schedule, because we all work. So.
Great. And Paul makes a great point, what we're doing tonight is, adopting the ordinance to put the funding in place, to then start the process, as Paul stated, so it's a good way to put
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Do you think, what do you think about the problem she's mentioned before about the piling of the snow? Do you think that,
Most of your sidewalks have a grass strip, which allows for the storage of snow when it's plowed. I don't know the situation. There might not be enough of a grass strip there. We can make some minor modifications, but snow is never fun, and it's never good for sidewalks. I don't know how else to say that.
They always put it totally on top of my sidewalk so that we can't get a plow through, we can't get anything through, a snow blower, and we can't, I'm 72, I can't shovel it.
They block us in on the corner, some on the
Excuse me.
corner.
You have to come up, state your name and address for the record, Judge. So, I saw the way your hand was up. Excuse me, I just need you to, you can stay seated, but state your name and address loudly for the record.
Okay, I'm Lorraine Maguire at 247 Captain, which is in the dead.
Yes.
That's where you're starting, I think, up there?
Well, that's the section. Are we starting cul-de-sac coming out towards Glen, or starting at Glen going?
No, yes, it's got to start one and then work up one side, work the other, so,
When? When is this actually?
We're hoping a summer build out when school's closed. And you're in Cape Cod?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, sir. Can you please get up, state your name and address for the record?
My name is John Rizzuto, I'm at 243 Rafkin, Lorraine's next door neighbor. I just came tonight just to get an idea of what's happening, because I missed the first meeting, and there's a process involved, and you just started explaining it, which is good, because I'm not sure what's happening as far as, like, coming out to doing an inspection on the property, like, are we gonna, like, our sidewalk is in pretty good shape, so are you gonna automatically replace it? I'm not sure what's actually happening.
Again, as Paul stated, once the survey is done, we identify everyone's exact linear footage. Everyone will get a letter identifying the potential assessment to each homeowner for that sidewalk. If I may, I have, if anyone didn't get these, this is what was given out at the meeting for the first time. It shows the map of the project, the exact cost, the exact cost. Actually, I made 7, and then I'm going to I can make 1. It pretty much breaks down everything, the approximate cost based on 100 linear footage, and so on. As Paul mentions, everyone will be receiving this letter, and it would be your obligation to then call Paul and say, hey, I'd like you to come out and look. I think my sidewalk's okay. You know, I've looked at it myself. There are some that are brand new. There are some that are pavers. You know, we're not going to be ripping that up and making people do that. But ultimately, you know, Paul's going to come back to us with a recommendation that this should go, this should stay, and then the governing body will have to decide what we're going to do. I mean, we want it to be uniform. We want it to last. Whereas if someone's is good today, but in 3 years won't be, well, you might as well put new in so you have 20 years of good. You know? So these are the things that we'll discuss during the process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, actually, Al, hold on 1 second. Mary Ann was before you. I'm sorry.
Mary Ann Ruckelman, 120 Knowles Road.
Can you hear that? She's good? Okay.
My garage side is on Rafkin. My sidewalks are new. I have a cement driveway, and when I had that done, all the sidewalks were also done, and they are in perfectly good condition.
Okay.
In 52 years, I take care of that property, and 25 of it I've done all by myself. So I know that they're in good condition because I paid for it.
Okay.
So now will I have to be assessed for that?
No, you would make a phone call to our engineer to come and look at your sidewalks. And if he agrees with your assessment, then no, there's a chance that we won't have to do in front of your house and you will not be assessed. That determination will be made after the engineer inspection. Okay. I'm not putting a time frame on, like how old are your sidewalks?
I would say no more than 5 years old, 6 years old.
Pretty young.
they are young.
They're
Yeah. Biggest problem that I'm going to foresee is, I did inspect it today in preparation for tonight. And some of the new sidewalks, we are going to be replacing the curb right next to where they've replaced. So we're going to have a little bit of that apron removed in order to do the curb problem. Because the curbs are going to be redone. And I don't think anyone there replaced curbs. I think they did their aprons and sidewalks, but not the curb itself. So and there's the forms in and things along those lines. But I can explain all that in the field.
Anyone else wishing to speak to, please come up, strong up, state your name and address for the record, please. I'm sorry, Al, I'll come right back to you. Sorry.
Kevin for the Cellar 144 Rafkin. We discussed the storm drain problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to fix the storm drain.
I have you on the list along with 6 others that have storm drain issues as we speak.
And then address the curb problem with the snow. The problem with the snow on the sidewalks is they come up the road going about 40 miles an hour plowing the road. And I know this because the storm drain in front of my house is 6 inches lower than the road. And I hear the guy crash, and the reason the curb in front of my house is destroyed is because they come up the road going like 40 miles an hour trying to push the snow on the sidewalk. Right? It's like they're mitching. And I have a can't be here tonight, but they would tell you this.
Have you ever told anyone this before tonight?
Yes,
You have.
I called the town and complained.
That was the first time.
I stand out in front of my driveway when I plow.
I'll discuss it with the proper party.
I mean, you shovel the drive, you shovel everything like you said, you get it all clean.
Right.
And then they come back around and it's like a mission
Yeah.
to get it back
Well,
up on the
again,
sidewalk.
And I think that,
Ridiculous.
yeah, oh, I'm good. The speeding part is more concerning to me. The part of recovering shovel sidewalks happens everywhere in town, but
Yeah, but I mean, there's no reason, they don't move that fast any other time while they're working. I can tell you that.
really know. Mr. Lavoy.
Nasty.
What's that?
That's it.
I got that from working from you.
Yeah, you want me to talk?
If you could, yeah, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Alan Boyd, 247 Grafton Road. My question is that with the sidewalk, every year I take, as you come in off the street, you always have your car comes up to the bump in that. I always cement that and get that done. But as this can, people have back here. The snowplow does a lot of damage. The end of every driveway. They do come pretty fast, but if they don't come pretty fast, you gotta shovel a lot more snow, so I'd like to have it up, pushed up there so that, you wouldn't have to do that.
Right.
But now, the other question I really want to know, when the engineer comes up and says, oh yes, we're gonna replace this, this, and this, how's that cost gonna come to us and know that we're getting a good cost for it? We have to pay for it, and we say, well, my sidewalk is all right. I do not want to touch. Do we have a right to say that and say, get our costs down to where it belongs? Or do we have to say by one person, the sidewalk must be done? Do we have to pay for it, whether we like it or not?
If the borough engineer makes the recommendation to the governing body that a sidewalk should be done, then I will confidently say, yes, you will have to do your sidewalk. It's not an option.
Yeah, now who's going to evaluate the dollars and cents up?
Well,
Because I want to be able to do it. If you say my sidewalk is going to cost me $78, or it's going to cost you $490
Right. If
some
you-
dollars, I'm going to get somebody out of town that can do it cheaper than that.
Okay.
Is that, can that be done?
Yes, you will know the cost. Is it fair to say prior to or start? You will know your cost prior. But we've had 2 public meetings prior, and we've had a lot of people come up and say that the cost, based on 100 linear feet, is greater than half of what they were getting from private contractors. So I can't imagine you're going to get a cost better than what the borough
I'm
can get
only
it done
trying to
for.
get at because, it's like anybody else. Every one of you people up there, your neighbors come to you and say, hey, what cost, my neighbor.
Well, we all know.
My neighbor, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior
We
to,
want to have it in the same book, or say, yeah,
Right.
it's going to cost you
Prior-
$100 here and here and here.
prior to any construction beginning, you will know your cost when it's over. You'll know what it's going to cost prior to the project.
And there's no way of saying, I don't want it done.
No.
It must be done, or you will be fine.
No, I don't know what the mechanism is. I mean, we just want to do it so it's safe for residents. We want to do it because it's desperately needed. And we're paving and doing curbs, so it's the time to do it. Again, there are going to be sidewalks that are in perfectly fine shape that will not have to be redone. And those people may be not assessed or partially assessed for curbing or whatever the case may be. But we will not know that. But you'll know that prior to the work beginning.
You're leaving all that up to the engineer.
His professional recommendation to the governing body.
All right, thank you.
So, yeah, okay, thanks, Al. Anyone else, please?
Tom Tracy, with the Rapid Road. I think the conversation got a little bit off track when you talked about plowing, but I also agree. I live on a
corner property, the corner of Rappahannock and Hilltop. And what happens when the plows come through, and maybe I should backtrack a little bit, I love the DPW in this town. These guys are great, love them. They have no place else, I guess, but to shove a 9-foot pile into the corner, anybody else that has corner property. And so what happens is, the town says you have to shovel your sidewalk. Okay, well, some elderly people here and people that maybe their health isn't that great, very difficult to shovel a, gotta be about a 4-foot pile of snow that they shove on the curb. So sometimes I think, okay, where else are these guys going to put it? But man, as being good residents of this town, we want to do what's right, and we're trying to, shovel our sidewalks. And now, people like that we live on the corner. Holy crap, we got this big pile of 4 or 5 foot pile of snow. That's what happens when you buy corner property. I've lived in town for a long time, my parents have also, and my mother always told me, my father said, don't ever buy corner property. And I think that was one of the reasons why. But I'm just saying that maybe we got off track a little bit because we're talking about the Rappahannock Road project. But that's what a lot of the residents, I think, you are saying, is that, I don't know what the DPW guys are supposed to do, but people that live on a corner we get hammered, And we're afraid that, not so much afraid, but we know that we have to go out there, we have to shovel our sidewalks. And then you come to this corner, you're like, oh my God. If you get 18 inches of snow, okay, we're shoveling this, but then when you get to the corner,
Right, there's no question the corner lot gets more snow. I mean, they plow right angle up, and you're getting it, both sides, both ways.
yes, yes.
Grew up on Nether Ave. Exactly what you're talking about.
I'm just, standing behind my fellow corner neighbors and saying, we're getting hammered. But of course, it's not deliberate.
Oh, no. That's why I also said, I love the DPW guys. Okay? I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I think these guys are pretty darn good. Okay? It's not deliberate. I don't know where else you're supposed to put it, but this is what, my fellow neighbors are saying, that we're getting hammered on the corner. Okay, the next thing, the cost, I think, came up of the sidewalks. I have looked at, if I wanted to replace my sidewalks, this town is giving a fantastic price. The engineer, the town, or whoever is giving a great price. Okay? I've done my homework. Thing is, not so sure that my sidewalk needs to be replaced. So here's the thing. If they don't need to be replaced, why am I paying any money? But if they do need to be replaced, I'm going to pay the money. It's cheaper for what this town is giving. There's some sidewalks on Rafkin where people have those trees that were recently cut down. Those trees will be pulled out, if I'm not mistaken, and then the sidewalks will be replaced. Great. I'm going to live in town for the rest of my life. I don't think that I will ever have to replace my sidewalks. So I'm going to be charged, assessed, about $3,500, $3,600. But I do agree with it, in that it's going to make things look better. Okay? So if anybody thinks that maybe they can get a cheaper price, no, I've done the homework. I don't need my sidewalks replaced for this. And if you do need your sidewalks replaced, then not going to get a cheaper price than what this town is offering you right now.
Tom, how old are your sidewalks?
They're probably original from 1957. And they are, they're full of rock and they look kind of nasty. I saw the survey. I see where you're going to stop, because everybody on Rafkin Road sees all these orange marks, and we see them all on our curbs. Mine is going to, thankfully, wrap all the way around from Rafkin Hilltop and take care of all my curbs and all my sidewalks. That's exactly what I want. When this first came up, I said, can I ask for anything more?
Right.
Because I thought that my property ended at one point, but it looks like, looking at the markings, you want to do a little bit more. And that's great, because my sidewalks, they're iffy. But if you're going to do it, do it. And I'll pay more money to go and wrap it all the way around, up Hilltop, take care of my curbs and my sidewalks. So, I mean, I'm for the project. I mean, if the subject never came up, if Rafkin Road was going to be paid, like Knowles, and Jeffrey, and everything else, I would say, hey, great, it's going to be paid. How did the subject ever come up, though, to do the sidewalks? Because I never would have thought of it myself.
Because of the condition. 85+% of those sidewalks need to be replaced. They're awful.
It all really started because we're doing the paving anyway.
Right.
So while we're doing it, we're giving everybody an opportunity to upgrade their sidewalks.
Right, and
We're
on
going to be
Knoll-
going through there anyway.
And on Knowles and Jeffries, there's not existing sidewalks.
Jeffries has sidewalks.
Knowles is full
Full.
curb, right, there's no curb line.
So I really...
The sidewalks on Jeffries aren't in as rough shape as this. Plus, we didn't get 200,000 in DOT money to offset some of this.
How
Those
is
are,
it- how is it that my part, the upper part, got 200,000, and the lower part only got 250?
no rhyme or reason. We actually submitted for the whole thing for $1 million something and got 200. Then we said, could you please phase this and let us apply 200 to phase one, and they did. Originally, they were only going to give us 200,000 on the whole, all of Rafkin. So we actually, the engineer went back and kind of phased it, and they agreed. Why? I don't know, is the second, did we apply for more for phase two is a little longer probably, right?
They're about equal lengths, but you were just fortunate that DOT
Yeah.
felt it was more deserving for another 50,000 under phase two.
Yeah.
I can't answer that. You only have so much money to give out. You were, half the municipalities in New Jersey did not receive funding, so you should kind of congratulate yourself that you did get something.
We also apply every year for safe streets to schools funding, where we get the sidewalks paid for, but we've had no success the last 5 years.
That's what I thought this project was. I thought that this
Well,
school...
It was part of it, we applied for sidewalks through that funding. And every year we apply for a DOT road. Last year we got Reland Ave, this year's Rafkin, next year's Rafkin. So every year we've been lucky enough to get usually some funding on one road per year.
So now
The Department of Transportation.
Jeffrey, Knowles, and Rafkin are the streets that we're looking at to be paved soon.
Yes,
Those streets are nasty.
Jeffries Knowles will be done by the end of May.
Yes.
Okay. The Rafkin will be done part of the month.
Something, I read something about Glen Wild also.
That's county.
Yes, I know.
Summertime.
That's why it's summertime.
And the rest of Union is county, from Covigi's to the horse farm, that'll be done in summer, and Mackin.
Now, hate to belabor this, but I'm driving down Rafkin today, and I'm on Union, and I see yellow marks on Union Ave, like gas, somebody's marking out.
It's probably surveying, we're
I
doing,
hope so.
the borough is doing mapping of our stormwater, our sewer, and our water. Stormwater, sewer, and water. We're mapping that. Because we don't have, we're digitally mapping that, so we have record. And a lot of that marking you see throughout town is part of that process. The county, you can't cut the county road for 5 years.
I understand.
Unless we had a water main break like we did on Boston and Union, curb line had to be tried. But that'll be infrared where you don't see
So before the Rapkin Road paving is done, the sewer lines are being,
They'll be cambered, looked at, making sure we're not paving over broken lines. If we find problems, we'll have to do it
that's, I think somebody knocked on my door.
on the borough side.
Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, I think we got off track a little bit, you know, when it came to flowers. But, you know, to everybody, you know,
Important issue.
you know, DPW is not purposely shoving all the snow on our curbs. But this is what happens, because we live on a corner property, we get nailed with, when snow falls about 12 inches, we probably have to shovel about 36 inches with snow. Yeah, well, so much for Okay, Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else wishing to speak to the Rafkin Road Assessment Project? Yes, please. State your name and address for the record, please.
And use 3 Woodlock on the corner of Rafkin and Woodlock.
Okay, how are you? Good, thank you.
I just have a question about the people that don't have existing sidewalks. Are they paying at all?
We're not adding, are we? No. So on the curb, like, there's a section on Rafkin that curves, the sidewalk ends.
Yeah,
No.
so they're not paying for sidewalks?
Well, only if there's a portion, one wrapping their house at some point, yes. But if it ends and becomes grass on Woodlock, then we will not extend.
No, I'm talking like further down towards Union, like that whole left side after, the last section of Rafkin, before you hit
Oh.
Union.
Talking phase 2, that's
Phase 2.
Yeah, they have no sidewalks, are they?
We haven't
paying at all?
gotten there yet. I think that exists because, I mean,
There's like that sheer rock
Yeah,
wall
there's
and
like
stuff.
no, right. That would probably make it, the assessment, so not cost effective. It's probably why they're not there in the first place, because there's rock ledge there, and,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, that, we haven't even discussed phase 2 yet.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anyone else, please? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe Wild, 198 Rafkin, on the corner of Rafkin and Heather. My question is about the assessment. I need sidewalks across the whole property, wrapping around to Heather. Will the part of Heather be assessed, or is that a separate bill I'll be paying?
No, that'd be part of your assessment.
And then the second piece is the trees. Paying for those to come out, or they just come out?
They'll come out as part of the overall project. You'll just be assessed for the linear footage of the new sidewalk and curb.
Hang on, John.
Yep.
They're not paying for curb.
No, a sidewalk, right, right. Just being assessed sidewalks and neighborhoods. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Like he was saying, anybody that
Excuse me,
orders-
you do have to, just for the record, state your name and address.
Kevin Morticello, 144 Rafkin Road.
Okay.
Like he was saying about the price. Now, I've got a friend that's a contractor, and I priced it out doing it myself. And I can't do it cheaper than they're doing it myself. So the price is, it's a good price, it's a very fair price.
And I, you know, not, you know, you'll know the number before the project begins, but we hope and we're confident we have anticipated even high until we bid it, but it's not going to be more. So as good as it is today, there's potential it could be considerably less than that too.
Yeah, I figured it out on my linear property, on the linear footage, and if I tried to do it myself, you know, borrowing my friend's machine and
Right.
digging everything out,
Right.
it wouldn't be worth my while to do it,
It's
for
a
the
number-
price that I'm getting.
Right. That is because of the scale of what we're doing, the curbing, this paving, it's all going to be part of the big picture. Plus you get the 2-year, you know, the contractor has to be bonded, protecting the borough and then thus protecting the residents too, which you wouldn't get with a local contractor. So, yes, someone else have a hand? Anyone else?
I have a question for you, Paul. On Mrs. Rickleman's property, she thought her apron might be good, and you said the curbs going through, it might be bad as we're done. You gonna saw cut that apron
Based on my inspection, that's what we would recommend if it works.
and to fill it back into the curb? Is that her assessment, or would that be part of the curb work?
Part of the assessment.
Would be.
But my apron doesn't touch the curb. I have another section of cement there, and then here's the curb.
Well, if I may, these kind of details,
Yeah, just,
you should be the first call to Mr. Paul Donalbosky, and then you can iron all that out. You know, She's going to work with you.
I will tell you that there is a drainage problem in that area.
Sure.
I have a cement driveway because I constantly, with the macadam, had sinkholes. And at the time, I had the borough engineer comment, no, there's nothing you can do. But I was in Bloomingdale before the Martha B. Day School was built, or before All Heather Lane was built. And when they started building those houses, I guess it was Mr. Brown, he put coming down that hill between the properties, because there was nothing there, a big, it looked like a big tank, but it was open end for the water to flow. And that's the problem with my property, is I have to watch that constantly to make sure that my driveway doesn't sink in.
If I may, what's nice about the timing of this as well is our storm water mapping is 99% completed. So we're going to find all those oddities where things end where they shouldn't, things are clogged and they shouldn't be. So it's going to all fit well with this, because drainage is going to be, as well as utility, looked at before we invest this money.
But there is a problem, there has been, even where Sonny lives, there has been a problem with drainage.
Well, these are good things, like, again, like Paul said, when you get the initial letter, it's inviting you to call Paul and discuss these drainage issues that everyone has, so we know about.
And I know the people behind me on Rafkin Road, they, when it rains really hard, and they're seniors, we're all seniors at this point, they get flooded in their basement.
Some of us may have all
Well, again, everyone will have that opportunity, ample opportunity to have those discussions, and be entirely well-educated, know where you stand before it begins, and it's going to ultimately be good for Bloomingdale and good for Grafton Road. Anyone else, public comment on the ordinance? Yes, you have to state your address.
And use 3 Willette Road again, sorry.
I'm being loose here, letting everyone speak from their chairs, but okay.
Sorry. When are those survey letters going out?
When do you anticipate?
We're a couple weeks away, haven't even gotten the survey yet, so.
Couple weeks.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sonia Brennan, 6 Heather Lane. The gas company knocked on our door the other day, and they put markers on our curb.
Okay.
And they said they're going to do something to the pipes. And is that going to be done before
Yeah,
this?
every year I receive from PSE&G, they want to know, we're in constant communication, what are we doing this year? And, I give them the list, Rafkin, Knowles, Jeffries, so they, it's their job to get that done. If they miss the boat, they had to do it, unless it's a gas leak, it becomes an issue. But Paul will make sure that communication is had, so we don't have a problem. But PSE&G knows about this project.
Because if we just put the road down
Of course.
and then they come,
Of course.
that would be awful.
Murphy's Law, happens all the time.
And I have one comment to make.
Yes.
I bought a house 1 block from Knowles, and I wouldn't have sidewalks there.
Say that again?
You should have bought on
I should have
If you-
bought on Knowles
if you-
Road, because there's no sidewalks there. And why do they get to not have sidewalks and we have to?
I don't know, I was in 3rd grade when they built that, so.
I mean, that's brutal. When you have 300 feet of
I wasn't
sidewalk,
born, okay, I'm
and
sorry.
you have to plow and shovel, and then right next to you, they have no sidewalk.
It's a great question, but I'm telling you, any project that I get DOT funding and there's a need for sidewalks, I'm going to present an assessment project to the residents. I mean, I feel this one, our job is easy because we had a favorable response. If we had everyone in here with torches saying, I don't want sidewalks, the governing body would have had a tougher decision to make. In the past, governing bodies used to put it out to vote. Majority won. So if it was, 40 no's and 39 yeses, well, no sidewalks. I don't know. I don't like that idea. I like to have as much public input as we can get, and our job is to do what's right for the borough. And
And
this
the
is smart.
sad part about it is, hardly any children walk on the sidewalks because their mothers and fathers drive them to school.
I know. But those who do walk on the road because the
Yeah,
sidewalk
they
is
walk
so
in the road.
bad. Because the sidewalk is so bad.
That's
And
true.
hopefully we'll see more pedestrian traffic as a result. Oh, wow. Met that. Anyone else? Again, thank you everyone for coming. We will have plenty more to give you, much more information. We'll be in constant communication. Call me at Borough Hall with any questions. Again, Paul has offered his services, and he means it, his availability, to walk everyone through this process. Make it as easy as we can for everyone. So I need a motion to close.
Second?
Now I need a motion to adopt.
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sharp.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes. Okay, the ordinance 17-2013 is on the books, and you'll all be notified very shortly of the next steps. You're more than welcome to stay. Enjoy the evening. No, you got that. Excuse? Yeah. Take a 5-minute recess.
Can I send the next one or?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to resume at 8:13. Okay, some new business. Okay, first item. We're adopting resolution number 2013 5.1, terminating participation in the state health benefit program. And everyone on board here, right? So we need to do a resolution, 60 days notice to get out of the state health benefit. We'll be joining on our second resolution, the North Jersey Municipal Employees Benefit Fund. The good news is, contractually, we have to provide the same coverage to our employees, which obviously we are. And we are saving annually approximately $30,000, but we're locking the rate in through 2014, which means we will avoid the state health plan's annual 8% increase, which means next year we'll realize approximately $120,000 to $130,000 savings on our health insurance. So with that said, I need a motion for resolution 2013 5.1.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
And now I need adoption of resolution 2013 5.2. This is authorization to join North Jersey Municipal Employees Benefit Fund. We are already members for our dental. Now we are joining for our medical insurance. And again, the savings is substantial. We'll realize, again, roughly $130,000 next year. Last Friday, I had 2 sessions with the staff, and we had full staff, including retirees, attend and learn about the new product. It's going to be with Aetna, is the new carrier. And again, coverage is identical. It's actually better prescription, and not to bore you with detail. It's slightly better on the prescription coverage. The good news is, there's a great dialogue to have with the staff, explaining to them contractually we have to give you the same, which is what we're doing. But I also explained to the staff, between now and October, I'm going to present to them during open enrollment, so October is open enrollment for January, other options that will be their choice. For example, as our staff starts hitting tiers, their tier 1, 2, or 3 on their contributions, you can eventually have an employee who's making in excess of $100,000 contributing as much as $8,000 to their insurance now under the new rules of the state. So I want to offer options with higher deductibles, higher co-pays, health savings account where someone can defer, tax defer money, save themselves premium, because ultimately they're saving not only the borough money, they're saving themselves a lot of money on their contribution. So these are things we're going to educate the staff on if they wish to make future changes. In the meantime, we're locking this rate in for 18 months, and it's going to be substantial and help us next year, obviously, budgetarily, quite a bit. So we're very excited about it. So I'm sorry, did I get a motion on that? I'm so excited I didn't ask for a motion. So again, this resolution is 2013 5.2, authorizing to join the new municipal fund. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
The only question I had was around, when someone waives their right to insurance,
We'll
they get,
We'll talk about that in executive. One of my items. Okay? Is that okay?
yeah.
Yep. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin. Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Okay, Just like I am the commissioner to the municipal joint insurance fund for our property casualty and liability, we need to appoint someone, and that someone would be me, to be the commissioner to the North Jersey Municipal Employee Benefit Fund, the new fund we are joining. So Resolution 2013-5.3, who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Conklin. Tomato.
Yes.
Miller Rico.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
And just for the record, this begins August 1st.
That's for 1 year term?
14 months.
14.
Next resolution, I'm sorry, my appointment?
Yeah.
Be 14 months.
14.
Yeah, well, you know what, we probably have to redo it in January. Yeah, so 4 months. This resolution expires at the end of the year. And now, our next resolution is appointing an alternate, which would be Sherry, as she is now alternate with the JIF. She'll now be with the MIF. 2013-5.4, appointing Sherry Gallagher as alternate commissioner. Motion moved.
So moved.
Any discussion?
The only discussion, and I should have probably said this before, recognizing that anyone outside of someone that's in the insurance business, realizing and doing the research for this, I just wanted to thank the mayor for doing the work and saving us this money.
My pleasure. And I'll inform Sherry tomorrow, she's the alternate. Roll call.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Yes.
Miller Rico.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Okay, the next item is authorization to enter into a contract janitorial services with First Community Development Corporation of New Jersey. I've had discussions with pretty much everyone over the last few months. What we're doing here is, this item's in our budget, in our introduced budget. Right now, our DPW is four employees from its highest point. We used to have 17, we now have 13 since 2008. And we now have one of our employees do the custodial services in all our buildings. For a hall, construction office, rec center, DPW, senior center, firehouse. What we're doing, and it's just not enough time to do it right. So what we're doing here, we're authorizing a 6-month contract. It costs us $10,000 to have a janitorial company do all our buildings 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I'm doing it this way. We have obviously an opt-out clause. Fred had reviewed the contract, and the company was good enough to give us 6 months to try it. And if it works, we look at renewing in January. But this is going to now free up that employee who spent 2.5 hours a day doing this, and again, as best that he possibly could, but it's just not enough time in the day to do it proper. But that is also a very talented employee who now will be freed up to do more, and our bang for our buck will surpass this contract quite easily. So with that said, this is a nonprofit company who hires, I use the word, challenge individuals, but they have, I've checked references, they do Keene College, they do Montclair State, they're a real strong nonprofit organization with many success stories, and I think we're going to be pleased. So, I need a motion to authorize this contract, which will begin June 3rd.
So second.
Any further discussion?
Question, the 5 days a week, it's Monday to Friday, or is the weekends tied to it?
No, it's Monday through Friday. I'm meeting with them next Wednesday with Al Gallagher and Al Allegrino to review exactly, how we're going to do this. I mean, I could make it Tuesday through Saturday.
The reason I say that is because sometimes the building needs a good cleaning, there's people
No.
working, they can't do that.
Well, here, it starts with a blitz. Included in the 10,000 is a blitz, which is a full blitz of all our buildings. And that's done when no one's here. After that, we're going to fine tune. I personally think they should come in 5 to 9 a.m., something like that. 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. And these are the things we're going to hire now. But you're right, they can't be here during the actual workday. And they're not. They might be an overlap of some period of time. But once they know the system, if it's 5 to 9, well, they can just make sure the offices where people are. They can do the chambers, at 9, or the rec center at a certain time when no one's there, and so on. Okay. And again, it's going to be a great asset for all our buildings, particularly the senior center. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the senior center, which is probably what started a lot of this, because it sees so much use, wear, and tear, and really does need a lot more than a good cleaning right now, but that's a good place to start. But every summer, they close for a couple of weeks, and they, do a good cleaning, and they wax the floors. And I see in this proposal that that won't be included.
The stripping and waxing is not included in the normal maintenance. There would be a one-time fee, whatever you want, once, twice a year, so we probably...
It said if we signed up again, then they would do it.
Right.
But we're not going to do it this summer.
Well, I can still have DPW do the blitz do the floors in the senior
floors
center
for
like
the
it's
senior.
normal closure.
Okay.
But we can work that out.
What will the people in the DPW do now that they're not doing that?
There was one person
Yeah, I know
who
that.
will now be freed up to do more, in my opinion, valuable projects like the work you see that was done here was an example of what that person can do. Also, he would be on the back of a garbage truck when someone calls in sick, which gives more coverage when that occurs. You have to understand, like here's a perfect example. In our normal week, our guy may have a perfect day planned, but all of a sudden, a guy calls in sick. Like this week, we had one on vacation, one sick, and one got on light duty because of a minor injury. You know what that does to his day? So now he can't cut grass, now he can't do janitorial, or he has to janitorial, double up on garbage. So this is going to just give that man in the rotation more flexibility on a normal workday, and on a fully occupied workday with all staff in, it's just going to be such an asset on what he can get done.
Do we ever do any kind of maintenance work at the UHAS building? Do we?
I mean, other than servicing furnaces and, making sure it's operational, we don't clean it, it's not used.
Do we clean the DPW building?
Yes.
And is it the DPW who does that themselves?
Primarily the one individual, but most guys take care of themselves.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Well, the mechanics take care of their...
I'm thinking of the shower area, the upstairs, more than just where their
I'm
work
concerned about
area
where
is.
the public is.
No, I was just curious as to who would be cleaning that. Where is this in the budget? Where was it included in the budget items?
Under the, I don't know what line off the top of my head, it's in the DPW budget,
DPW.
under buildings and grounds.
Okay.
I confirm exactly, Sherry, but I'm confident that's where it is. Any other questions? Need a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasti.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes. Next is I need authorization to enter into a renewal of our shared service agreement with landscaping services that we provide the Board of Education. It's a $10,000 annual shared service for the borough. Again, June is the expiration date of the one we approved last year. This is a renewal which has been approved by the Board of Ed at their last meeting, so I need that motion, please.
So moved. Second.
And any further discussion?
Yeah, we instituted this, I'm not sure exactly when last year.
June.
It was in June for it. Do we have any accounting of the cost versus that $10,000 we're getting? The cost to us to use, is it one man once a week?
It's one man, normally once a week. Yes, it takes our man 2.5 hours to do all the schools. Because we're just doing the peripheral edges. The grass, the weed whack, not the edges.
Last year we had 2 county people. Did a lot of that, so that's
Well-
us to be benefit from.
Right, well, normally, yeah, I mean, that's up to the department how they use their summer help.
Well, there's really not much to do at the Donald School. Do they clean that hill off?
They blow, parking lot, weed whack, clean the hill, mulch,
Do we provide the mulch too?
through RER.
Through RER. That's, when you talk about spending and revenue, we cannot really consider $10,000 a year revenue.
It's not, it's a shared service. It lowers our operating cost.
Okay. You said 2 hours it is?
Each for a half.
On the budget side, though, it does come in as a revenue.
It comes in as a revenue.
And it offsets our cost because we take the cost from what you and I have to pay and move it outside. So we pay less.
Correct.
Therefore, it's going.
And if employee X makes 50 grand a year, we're now offsetting that by 10,000. We're paying 40. whether we have this contract or not. It's similar, it's the same, the shared services are to share the cost.
But
not
it
to-
also, of course, it's sharing their time, and then we need more people because we don't have enough people to do it.
Bless
We give them more work to do. Sometimes it's very confusing.
Well, we're doing this without no people. We're doing the same.
Right.
We're gonna hire
And then you usually say to yourself, well, what isn't getting done?
No,
That
because
was
my
done
list
last
is
year.
really, really long and everything gets done.
Well, I meant that was previously getting done, with the same number of employees.
Anyone else?
I wanted to say, there's also the advantage here that if this shared service agreement wasn't in place between the two entities, the Board of Ed would be sending that money out to some outside contractor, which is our, our tax dollars, as opposed to, this way, we're sort of recycling the tax dollars by having the Board of Ed send it to us, and then that's helping defray a cost on our side. So I guess we're sort of getting double bang for that particular tax dollar.
Absolutely. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes. Okay, next item. Adoption of resolution 2013 5.5, urging state of New Jersey to adequately fund its comprehensive tobacco control program in 2014 and subsequent years. I'll defer to Councilwoman Shortman if she wants to speak to it.
Just that at the Board of Health meeting, there was a conversation about how the funds were not being properly controlled, and we have the, is it a resolution in front of us on how to, go along with the use of these funds so that they would be appropriately used.
Just trying to find you. Bear with me. Sorry, one section of it. Did you have it, Commissioner? Yep. Sure. Yeah. There's a specific purpose. The goal of this is that New Jersey's raised over $5 billion in tobacco revenue over the past 5 years, yet state spending on tobacco control programs was plummeted to zero allocated state dollars in 2013, making the state the 50th in the nation for funding its tobacco control program. So $5 billion a year, and they fund tobacco control zero. So this resolution is joining many others to fund it in 2014. Okay? That's
What are you doing with that money? Is it sitting there, or are we going to now short fund some other program by just passing,
Don't
joining
know.
to this?
Can't answer your question.
This is one of those arguments, right? What's the cost of it?
Good question.
Anyone else? Again, motion.
So
Roll-
moved.
I'm sorry, we have a motion on that? Motion, please.
So a motion to pass resolution number 2013-5.5, tobacco control, is it called?
Yep. Okay. Second, please.
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Okay, the next item, which this theme will follow on pretty much a lot of the balance of the agenda, is a lot of housekeeping. We are doing things that weren't done, should have been done, and fortunately, we have the funding to do so. We're entering into a contract with Air Purification Solutions for aeration diesel exhaust removal. When DPW building was built, it did not have the proper ventilation, like an auto repair shop or mechanic shop should, ventilating the facility. OSHA paid us a nice surprise visit last week, and we fared well. There was a 19-page report of things that had to be done, and they're all done. This is the final one. A lot of them are small items, and our DPW handled it beautifully, and everything is completed. This we have to authorize. They didn't write us up or fine us because we showed them, Al had already had his proposal, but it was never moved on or action was taken. So we are authorizing this contract, and it's It's expensive, $18,151.56 to install the air purification system, diesel exhaust removal for DPW. So do I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Is there any further discussion?
Just how many pages does it cover?
This is the entire building. Venting the entire building properly for OSHA requirements.
This is with the exhaust that comes down, hooked up to the pipes, and just we're working on it.
Correct.
It gets blown out. And then there are Al's, talking to Al, some of the garbage trucks have it built in.
Correct. Now what?
I just want to make sure, because going forward, if we're purchasing other vehicles, have to make sure that the trucks have it built into the bigger trucks.
Absolutely. If you look on the UHAS building, the Union Ave building that was purchased by the borough before our time, in the back of there are the old ones. The intention, I believe, was to reinstall them, but they're not OSHA requirement. These big old fans down there, which I'm going to put on gov deals and sell. Okay, you know, get a few bucks to offset this, but they're not adequate to be used, and they're lying in that storage, and I will get them out of here before summer's over. So we need to move on this one. So, any other questions?
That was never part of the initial...
Again, all I can assume is the intention was to use the old ones. They took them down, stored them, and they're not adequate to clean that building, air purify that building.
Funding source for this is?
Funding source for this is the capital ordinance of the $420,000.
Okay. Just want to bring that.
We have a certification of funds.
And we have no choice but to do this.
Well, yeah.
Or we're gonna get a huge fine.
You have to be OSHA compliant, so it is what it is.
Or they give you a daily fine until you
Oh,
get
yeah.
it.
Yeah, the OSHA report's upstairs, but the daily fine was substantial. But we have till June 28th, as long as we show purchase order, we're fine.
You want us to sign a resolution?
It should be right, yeah, because it's an expenditure.
Okay, that's fine. So, again, my apologies, did we have a motion on that?
This is,
Okay, so can we amend the motion to make it 2013 5.6 resolution for Air Purification Solutions LLC for $18,151.26.
Just the one building, correct?
This is just the building. And that's the only one that there's active mechanic and vehicles in. So we'll...
is this did we get another comparative cost with this, or is this the only one we have, or?
It's a professional service. He's got other indications exceeding this, but it's the only formal written one. The time is of the essence. And, but he's got verbal that would exceed this.
This is like down and dirty, or is this the
No,
Cadillac?
it's OSHA, what...
This is what minimum they require?
Correct.
These units are used too, aren't they?
The units that are being, no,
Reading the proposal.
again, Al, we saw the proposal, hold on.
It's in here. But under a service contract, there's a problem, they just fix it.
Correct.
This is a recent quote then, right?
It's dated April 19th, 2013. No, it's a new Airmation auto roll unit, complete, $6,400. Complete blower assembly, new, $1,200.
Just looking at the note, the first note, let's try to find it.
Right, we're going here because we're testing, pick up 2 old units at Bloomingdale and deliver to factory for testing and perform evaluations. Power wash units,
Yeah, there's a note here that there's no warranty on the 2-year-old units themselves.
Right.
Only a 1-year warranty
on the new units. Right, so the 18,000 is purchasing a new unit, full installation, everything you see on the top, and retrofitting 2 old, there's 4 old units, we're fixing 2, reinstalling, that's $1,200 of the rest.
Right.
It's selling 2 on gov deals, 2 that we can use. So, thank you, Jim. Anyone else?
This includes the electric as well, right, John?
Yes,
That's
that's
the
full install.
electrician. Okay.
This is complete.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Giusti.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Okay, next item, introduction of ordinance
20.
2013. We're introducing by title in an effort to promote growth in our business zone. We're waiving the distance requirement between consumption liquor license, not packaged goods, consumption liquor license. And who makes that motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
I don't.
Just introduction by title. But you can discuss, but we'll have, you know, a public hearing on it. When we get out.
You want me to wait?
I know you guys-
I think there's a reason why we want 1,000 feet between liquor licenses. Seems like we have a lot of liquor licenses in town.
This is for consumption, this is not for
I know.
good.
I know.
In thriving downtowns, where there's a cafe upon cafe upon cafe, you do not have a 1,000-foot restriction. And it promotes growth, it also promotes competition.
Well, we can't go back to 1989, I guess, when this was instituted, but I
Well, I
wonder
understand.
why it was. What?
I won't state on the record why I feel it was, but that's for another day.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you. All in favor for introduction by title? Okay. You would introduce by title. Well, you want a roll call on? Aye. Second file, May 28th, and roll call, please.
I'm sorry. Councilmembers Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shorten.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasti.
Yes.
That would be an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, the County of Passaic, the State of New Jersey, the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale by amending Chapter 6, Alcohol Beverage Control, Section 6-4, Regulations of Licenses, Section 6-4.4, Distance between licensed premises to eliminate the requirement that there be a distance of 1,000 feet between culinary retail consumption licenses.
Thank you. Okay. Next item, introduction of ordinance 21, 2013. This is appropriating $420,000 from capital surplus fund for various purposes. You will see in your book, a few meetings ago, the governing body canceled a lot of old debt, already funded items, and we are appropriating in an ordinance, capital surplus fund, to do a lot of capital projects without having to borrow new money. And bear with me 1 minute. You know, first let me get a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay. I know. Okay. We have, the orders will be broken down, improvements to municipal complex, municipal facilities, including but not limited to equipment and repairs, $150,000. Purchase of police vehicle, $40,000. Improvements to various roads, which is on file with the clerk's office, and totals $420,000. The intent for this money, and each item will come to the governing body before the expenditure, is first paving. We are going to pave in excess of $200,000 of road work without borrowing any new money. And the list that I had the engineer come up with totals $421,000 for the needs of the immediate, and obviously we're going to narrow that, and I've narrowed that to the Leisure Place, 3rd Street, Reeve, intersection of Reeve and Oak, the hillside, about not quite half of hillside, intersection of Red Twig and Star Lake Road, a large portion of Reeve, not quite half, sections of Clark, Sophia, as well as milling and repaving all those terribly nasty old crosswalks that are cracked, faded, terrible. They will be milled and paved and relined this year. Because that's a big part, in my opinion, of our, that'll help downtown.
Crosswalks on Main Street?
Yes. The ones, the county paved over the ones when they paved Hanford Turnpike. These are the ones that are on our side streets. There's one you start at, I think there's 12. And that total nut on the crosswalks is about $12,000. But they're beyond repair. They're old stamp crosswalks. They're terrible. And that's the plan. But again, this is not, we're still doing Jeffries and Knowles from last year's funding. When road paving comes forward, I'm hoping, talking with our engineer, while he's here, can we just do this? And trying to time it that way. But that's coming out of this. The other items are, we need some funding for the radios for fire, DPW, search and rescue. We need some money for computers. Generator for DPW is a big one. It's $32,000. We will be funding this year. Hillside stormwater and Rafkin Road, two big stormwater issues causing sinkholes and whatnot. So I've dedicated in what I know needs are, the meeting needs $305,000, including the paving. So it's not even using all this funding. But again, this is existing debt. This is a good thing for the borough to be able to move on these capital improvements without having to borrow more money. So that's what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen. And any discussion?
Yes.
Yep.
I just asked a question about the time frame.
Right, because it's already funded.
Is this a bond, is it 10-day publication or is it, I just pulled it out, so I was like, I think it is.
Yeah, it's fully funded, so I believe it's 10 days. That's fine. So second and final reading will be June 4th.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilwoman?
We keep referring to this as being fully funded. This is currently considered debt,
Yes.
even though...
Permanent bonded.
It's permanent bonding. Can you give me, do you know the number of that bond?
We canceled it 2 meetings ago. There's various bonds. I don't have it in front of me. You voted yes to cancel the old debt.
Right. Cancel the old debt, but now we have $420,000 in general capital surplus fund.
Correct.
There's a fund called general capital surplus.
Which you
fund.
have to identify its purpose by ordinance. That's what we're doing.
Okay. Now, my problem is that, I don't know right now, am I talking to the mayor or the business administrator?
There is no business administrator. You're talking to the
Well,
full-time
all
mayor.
these ordinance refer to, we just passed, say, business administrator. All the Board of Ed thing, they all say that. I guess full-time mayor, I don't know how to distinguish between your job as your,
Just ask me your question, please.
well, I want to clarify this in my own mind. Your job as an elected official and your job as business administrator functions, let's put it that way. We are facing bills next week of roughly $6,200 for the refurbishing of things around the Borough Hall. As a member of the council, I never got to any input on that spending.
That's not true.
Well, tell me when we voted on doing the rug and the rest of it.
Again, first, let me start by saying that any money that was spent on these chambers, and I can see silly seasons getting close, was done from a 2008 bond for municipal hall improvements. Okay, it wasn't new funding. It was something from 2008 that no one ever took action on. Just like our well monitoring, just like the geotechnical things we're going to do next, just like the $18,000 purification system we're going to do for DPW, things that were never done. So I had asked the governing body. It's not something that had to come to a public vote.
You said that before, and I don't want it to be a public vote, but I think that if you were on this council and Ted was sitting there and you walked in and saw new carpeting, wouldn't you be a little concerned that Ted decided to recarpet and never asked the
But
elected
it's not true. The elected people were never asked. You guys should speak. I'll hold my tongue now.
Oh, it wasn't at a meeting, there was no vote. I thought we passed a resolution early in the year that said that you would be able to spend up to $2,500 without a vote.
You passed a resolution that said it's in the budget, it was a budgeted item, and funding was in place for this.
Okay, so you're considering the carpet a funded, budgeted
It was a
item?
funded item.
Well, I have the same problem looking at this. This says improvements to municipal complex. I mean, we would have no say into what we see next happening, because this is considered a funded item.
I disagree with this, we've had this conversation earlier about this. This $420,000 that we're going over to approve, any of those items that is on your list still has to come back to the governing body for approval. This is basically a wish list, correct? things that really need to be done, we'll kind of force you to some of them, because we do need a generator. We experience problems, we do need these things. The funding is in place, but ultimately, it's up to us. Whatever you want to call his title, he still needs to bring these items back to us to vote yes or no, correct?
Why didn't we get to vote on the carpet?
Because that is building improvements that we already approved. At the beginning of the year, we approved that money.
And we had this conversation where we said now that.
We never had this conversation.
You and I had this conversation.
When we were in
At the
session.
end of the meeting.
When we were.
At the end of the meeting, you and I had this
It
conversation.
wasn't publicly, it was not publicly decided that let's vote on spending $4,000
You
on
walked
the
down
carpet.
saying whatever, you
No, I said, no, you guys were agreeing, that was not done
discussed it
publicly.
right there, at the end of the meeting.
Absolutely we did. Did I think that meant that everybody here voted to do this?
It's the
I
beginning of the silly
think
season.
we should vote on
Councilwoman,
these
you were on the council when
expenditures.
the new sign was put out front. Did you vote on that publicly? No. You were on the council when the wood floor was put upstairs. Did you vote on that when Ted was here?
No, I wasn't here then.
I can go on and on.
I wasn't here then.
About day-to-day operation of the borough, that doesn't come to you. But I did, via email and courtesy, one-on-one, ask if I had the nod to move on the carpet, and it was yes.
But when you're spending that kind of money, what would it hurt to tell us that I've got this price on carpeting
So are
publicly?
you kidding me?
No, I'm not talking about
$3,100. I
that.
went to you with 4 prices and said $3,100. And you were like, I'm not voting on carpet. I knew you didn't want it.
Okay? Well, I still feel that it should come and we should have this conversation during a motion and a vote.
I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because these are gallons of paint. This is routine maintenance on
No,
a
it
building.
isn't. No,
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. It needed to be painted. You mean Al Gallagher?
I don't think the paint exceeded the amount of
We
money.
got sheet rock here. This is all the same. We just painted. All right? We did approve, at the beginning of the year, that bond for building improvements to be, right? Am I
It's
correct?
existing.
It was existing money to do building improvements. We're doing building improvements. We have an air conditioning thing, nobody's arguing with that. We have a heating system that is also
We
coming in,
voted on
correct?
That money came from an old bond that we didn't use.
Correct. Which was specifically for
Building improvements. We improved our building.
Matter of fact, it was done for exactly what was done here, including the restrooms. That's why that bond was done in 2008.
Well, I guess I don't understand bonding, because to me, bonding is what I'll give you my analogy. I have a credit card, and I can borrow $20,000 on that credit card. I have that ability to do that. So I go out and I use that credit card, and then I start paying. We are not paying on this until we start spending the money.
It was a permanent financing. You absolutely are paying on it.
We're paying this total amount off right now?
It's permanent bond. The only thing you
So the
can
money
cancel-
is sitting there and we are paying it off and not using it?
Yes. You can only cancel permanent funds. This is permanently bonded. So Councilwoman, vote no, okay? And then when we move on paving 200,000 roads, okay? If it doesn't pass, you're gonna bond the money. So you stated your case, so you're either gonna vote yes to do this or no.
Well, I definitely agree on the police vehicle. I absolutely agree on maintaining roads. What I want to know is, number one, the biggie, the $150,000 just to improvements on municipal complex. What I'd like to know is, when you start spending thousands of dollars, that we be asked on that particular item. Yeah, and I feel the same way about the carpet.
What's the difference? Yeah, what's the difference?
What's the difference between $3,000 on carpet or if I go and see a...
I came to everyone on the carpet. You're saying you
John,
want it on a public
you
agenda.
are open, you are here, you will discuss it, you will ask opinions. That's not what I'm saying.
But
I'm
that's-
saying, I think it should have been on an agenda, it should have been
Okay, I
discussed and
respectfully
voted on
disagree with you
publicly.
because in my function as full-time mayor, in running the day-to-day operation, that wouldn't come to an agenda item. Replacing a broken tile, a rotten
I'm
carpet,
talking
painting a
thousands of
wall.
dollars, not,
This isn't thousands of dollars.
this is thousands of dollars right here.
$3,100.
The total bill is $6,200.
For all the improvements.
Right, $6,200. And the carpet was, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of money that shouldn't have been casually discussed. We should have been asked to vote on those expenditures. I'm afraid that all of these details on any improvements, who's going to decide what, can we go spend $10,000 on something?
We just said before that anything under this $420,000 for approval has to come back to us. Correct, John?
Yes,
Am I right?
yes,
You cannot spend that money on your own.
correct, correct.
That's on the record.
Okay, why wasn't that true on this, when we get the bill for this next
Why
year?
didn't we ask this last month after it was already done? And we sat here and looked at it.
Because I expected it to see, I didn't know how much it was till I actually
That's
saw
not
it.
true, I showed you the estimate. That's not true.
Well, you're right, you did show me estimates, but I knew, the day that was installed, I had no idea they were going to put
Councilwoman,
it in.
I tried to lobby you to an obnoxious point for you to support the replacement of the carpet.
Yeah, and I said
Do
no.
not sit here and say you did not know.
I did not know the day that was being installed that it was. You did lobby, you did inform one-on-one, and then it got installed without a vote. I expected the next meeting, before it was installed, for it to come to a vote. I think it's spending too much money, and John, you can talk all you want. Had Ted Ehrenberg ever did that, you would have been furious.
Did you vote on the new floor that went in the rec center? No. Did you vote on, I mean, I can go on and on.
The new floor that went in the rec center.
Exactly. There was no
Well, what I
administrative.
don't know about, I can't address.
But Mayor,
You know about it because I told you about it.
if I may, I just want to
Yes.
address this from a legal standpoint. I think I understand the question, and I understand what you're trying to answer, but I'll just see if I can follow this through. If there's an expenditure for something you said is in the budget, for example, the carpet, if there's a purchase order that's presented, correct?
Yes.
So that purchase order comes through, it requires a signature, it's presented to, in this case, the chief financial officer's office or the treasurer's office.
Correct.
Okay. I think, I want to just try to answer legally, I understand what Councilwoman Shortman is saying. Where in the process does she have a say or is made there? And I want to ask you, when you had, like, the carpeting, was that voucher put on the buildings?
Yes.
Okay. So then that's where,
That voucher's not on the bill.
That was on last month's bill.
It was not. It's an open.
okay, but I just
It
want
was
to
not on
talk
last month's bill.
procedure.
It was not.
I just want to say from a legal standpoint,
We'll see it next time.
if it's on the buildings, okay, then I would say from a legal perspective, at least that would answer the question where it is and where everyone is in the process. Okay? If it's not, I think we should revisit that. But if it is, that's the process. That's the one I would come to understand from a standpoint of procedure as to how it would take place. So hopefully that would answer the question. If that's the procedure, then the governing body does have the opportunity to ratify anything on the bills list or pull something, and as we've done in the past, and not pull it something.
By the way, let me just ask that. John did ask me, and I said, absolutely. Let's get it done because the room looks wonderful. It's a sense of pride. The carpet now really stands out, and it's really dirty, and let's get it done. So if we were to vote on it at any point, I would have said, absolutely, let's get it done.
I totally respect that. That would be your vote. I didn't get a vote.
Let me see if I can address one of your other questions, and, Fred, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that for the carpeting, the money was expended out of a fund specifically for doing things here in Borough Hall, basically, yes? Whereas,
The whole municipal complex, it could be.
whatever, but, I mean, the point, the distinction would be that the money that we're discussing now was cut from, was canceled from something else, and it basically became generic funds in a capital fund account. It has nothing, no purpose or anything attached to it.
Correct.
Until by ordinance, we put a purpose to it. Correct. So I think that's the distinction, is the money that was pulled for the carpet had already had a function assigned to it. It was for municipal whatever. This money has no purpose.
You can't spend it without
Yeah,
identifying
I
it
think
by
that's the
ordinance.
distinction, is we're saying what it can be used for. So it still gets to the point, if you started to if you pick something at $1,000 what would the process be for, should it be a four, that would be a procedural bylaws question, but I think the distinction here and what we're doing right now is translating, a generic amorphous fund into something specific that we can spend it on.
See, I don't see this as that specific, but let me tell you, last month we took $18,000 from a bond for the fire truck that we didn't spend, and we put it into the same type of municipal improvements, correct?
Right.
We did that.
We canceled all the old stuff. Put it
Well, this was very specific to that one bond ordinance, that we did take that money and put it into this. This is my stand. I think, not me, but this body sitting in session should have the vote on what we spend that kind of sum of money on. And we did not pay for this carpet yet. It is not paid for, it was never on a bills list. I look at the bills lists. I really do believe that the full-time mayor should not be able to just spend thousands of dollars because the money's sitting in a bond somewhere. I think we should know what's being done. And this is staring at us because you can't help but see it. I don't go into the rec office, so I wouldn't see what was done in other places. But this, I was shocked. I thought it would come to a vote.
The rec flooring last year was,
I knew we were discussing it.
the rec flooring last year was in the rec budget, so they approved that because they have a budget to spend. What we agreed on back in February was, if it's in the budget that was approved last year, go ahead and do what you gotta do. The minute it goes over that budget, then you need to come to the governing council. When I look at this is not in the budget approved from last year.
It's a funded item.
It's funded out, but it's not in the budget. We approved in the budget, but last year's council approved. The same thing with the bond we transferred over to do the building improvements here, a lot of the carpet and the walls and stuff, was not in the budget last year. Nobody talked about that last year, let's put $5,000, $50,000 into this building. We rolled the bond into it. At that point, I'm with Mr. Shortman, I think we should decide, and I did see the email, and I agree, I did want to do the carpet, but at that point, it's the council's decision how they want to spend that. It needs to be itemized. It can't just be carte blanche, municipal building, complex renovations, whatever you want to do.
I make the motion to replace the carpet in this chamber. Let's vote.
It's done.
Let's vote. I mean, this is silly.
No,
The question
it
is,
is
if
silly
you gave
because-
us one of us, would we say yes or no?
It's silly because what she's getting at now is protocol. She's looking at protocol now.
That's what I wanted you to do.
Now we're getting ready to spend another $420,000.
You're not spending it.
Exactly. But that's what she's nervous about. We're going to allocate it, and all of a sudden now it's going to be spent, and she's not going to know about it.
We're going to see the whole upstairs office refurbished. We're going to walk in there, it'll be refurbished because it's in this budget, because we've had this. We have to know about it. We are the ones who do the voting.
It wouldn't be a counter, but my explanation to that would be that the council of 2008 approved putting this.
Absolutely.
Oh, see,
So,
I-
but see, Councilwoman, so,
I know
the conflict of interest, what's the difference here?
for the money for?
There's a motion on the floor to put the carpet down. I second that motion.
Wait, no.
It's done.
We're on discussion on there's an open motion right now.
Yes, there is.
The copy machine broke in the tax office. I authorized a new one. Is there a problem with that?
How much was it?
You needed it.
500?
But was it a budgeted item? That's a,
No, it wasn't a budget.
It has
It came out of
absolutely
building improvement.
limited to equipment
How do
and...
you budget it? Was a $1,000 machine is going to break? And then the same,
I'm not
2 days
saying
later, the
that.
color copier broke.
I'm not saying
You
$1,000
know,
machine.
if
that
a
broke.
$3,000 filing cabinet broke, like Jane's desk is shot, I should come to the council to administratively replace a desk?
I think what you could do is, like Sandy, is maybe send us all an email and tell us, Jane's desk broke, I'm spending this money. And I could email back, fine, go ahead, or I could say, put it on the agenda. That's my choice.
Exactly what we do with the carpet.
Exactly what it is with carpet. As a matter of
We got
fact,
an email that said
I will show you the
I
email that says carpet's being
as
installed.
a matter of fact,
tomorrow.
Whatever day it was.
It's still tomorrow,
listen to
right?
it. As a matter of fact, the emails, it wasn't just this room. Right?
Right.
Your itemized was going into other
To
offices,
barbers.
and we said absolutely
No.
not.
Right, and
You also
look,
wanted to go downstairs and...
I was the one that started this saying, I don't think we need all this, right? But after we started seeing all the improvements, and the pride that it gives us sitting here,
You know, I'm
Then
really,
you know
I
what?
don't
Let's do it.
disagree with you, and I agree with
then
everything
what's
you're
the
saying.
point you're making?
I'm going to make my point once more. We should be voting on it, all of us. That's all I'm saying. When it gets
Well,
into
that's
the thousands of dollars,
so we
it
can't.
should be us making that decision. Not through emails, not through you got a quote, not through I told you it's being installed tomorrow. No, I think we should vote on items like this, and I don't consider that as part of the budget, a budgeted items. I don't.
She's talking about process and protocol, like Mike said, not
That's what I mean.
not the value of what we actually did, but how we got
With
there.
this specific
So,
$420,000, it is on a record by John,
Right.
saying that anything on that list that comes out of that money has to come back to the governing body for a vote.
And as long as Fred says we didn't do anything illegal, the rest of it is just sort of a preference on how the governing body wants to operate.
Of course you do. Okay, let me ask you, and again, I will do that. But we could find out, let's say, in 3 days from now, that we got our FCC license for our new radios. So now based on what you're saying, I have to wait till June 28th to buy the radios that are defunct June 1st. That's what you're telling me.
I think if it depends on the cost, and you could
$15,000.
email, how much,
$15,000.
$15,000?
It's actually $47,000, but our contribution is going to be roughly $15,000.
And that's nowhere in the budget except in an item like this.
Correct.
Well, I
Capital
think you
project.
could call us, and I think if you got some disagreement, you could call a special meeting and we could vote on it.
So, okay, we should have a special meeting.
I think for $47,000, I'd be happy to
It's
come.
not $47,000, it's $15,000.
Oh, 47.
Well, that was told.
The Board of Ed is contributing.
Okay.
There's other avenues.
$30,000 is going to be a broken storm water line on Hillside. Okay? So you're saying that I have to come back to you, just in a bond ordinance, to authorize capital for various improvements. So I'm going to come back to you to vote on that. I just shouldn't go ahead and have Paul design it, do it, it's an emergency, get it done.
John, I
clarifying.
cannot equate those examples with a carpet.
But
I
it's the
just
same
can't.
funding
No,
mechanism.
I don't care. I just can't.
So it's, okay.
You said I can carpet it, I don't have to ask you. I mentally disagree
I
with
never-
that. I thought it
I
would
didn't
be
say
on
that.
an
I didn't say
agenda.
that, because I did ask everybody.
But you said you didn't have to. You said that. I don't have to ask you.
Right, I don't think I do because it was fun today, but I did.
I guess maybe
To
that's why I
avoid, to
disagree.
avoid this exact scenario that I knew you would create, I asked everybody. I asked everybody.
And my disagreement with you is, I think it should have been on the agenda before it was done, and we should have voted, and you'd have had your carpet, and it would have been, it's
It's not
the
his carpet,
procedure
it's
and
not-
protocol
not my
that
carpet.
I'm talking
It's
about.
not my part.
Have some pride.
Okay,
Oh, don't be silly.
wonderful discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Tomato,
Yes.
Dela Ripa,
Yes?
Shortman,
No.
Sondemire,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
Conklin.
I don't know, I mean,
Have to say something.
I hate to vote no for it, but I just don't know that much about it, just kind of treat it close.
canceling existing debt to do capital projects, one of them being $230,000 of road paving this year.
And
So
I
voting
said
no
I
is
support
voting
the
no.
police vehicle and the road
You
paving.
voted no for the funding mechanism, so you can't
Well, that's
possibly
because you
support
lumped it
that.
all together, and I'm still saying on the record, I am in favor of the roads, I am in favor of the police vehicle.
Then you're,
So
You want
take the
borrow the money.
$150,000 out.
You want to increase our debt by doing it.
all right, so
That's
the
what you
this
want.
discussion part's over. Mark, sir? We good? Okay. Next item, authorization for a contract with Geotechnical Engineering Services for subsurface investigation analysis of Senior Center. Here again, housekeeping, Senior Center has cracking issues, settling issues, needs to be dealt with. This is $12,075 for a study to determine the cause of the problem. Who makes that motion, please? We'll do resolution 2013 5.7.
So moved.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
I have a discussion, please.
Yeah.
How many prices do we get on this?
This is a professional service, such as engineering. This is the only price we see, it's professional service.
This is the only people out there that do this kind of work.
This is recommended by our engineer, Paul Dalmafosky, has a relationship and experience with this geotechnical engineer. It's professional service, doesn't require a bid. Any further discussion?
By the way, do we have an option here?
No.
Or is that building?
Oh, yeah, don't do anything.
If we do nothing, is that building?
I'm not going on the record saying it's going to fall down.
No, it's cracking, it's sinking.
It's been like that for a
We
long
better
time.
fix it.
It's been like that for a long time.
It has to be fixed, it's not going to fall.
We can kick the can down the road, but
Sure. That's what they've done.
let's get it done.
1998.
And by the way, it's in that bond that you voted no for.
Correct. Correct. All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Delarose.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
Conklin.
No.
Tomato.
Yes. Need to get more prices.
Next item, authorization for contract with Atlantic Environmental Solutions for phase remediation for Union Ave. This is DPW, again, another item since 1989. Gas tanks are removed, well monitoring was performed, kind of stalled. We got back in the game last year. This is the number over a 2-year period, but we're funding it all, so it's done, to remediate and solve this problem once and for all. Who makes that motion? 5.8, sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So this incident took place in 1988?
89.
89?
Well, that was the first notification of the DEP I have on file. The removal was probably in the early 80s.
And was there any insurance coverage?
I've gone through that, we've received a denial because it was pre-Jeff.
Okay. And it wouldn't affect this vote, but if I could get a list of the prior general insurance policies that you have on file, we could put a claim in. It's one of the times.
I mean, I have it in Vaz's hands. I'm confident denial's coming, I don't have a formal
No,
denial.
not from the environmental insurance fund?
Right.
I think it will be denied because it does predate.
Right.
But if you had just a general peril policy,
With, I don't think you had pollution coverage, but we can look at it.
but that's exactly why it didn't exist in many of the years prior. So we've been successful in the past to get coverage. for
That would
this.
be great. Either way, we have to authorize
Yes, you
it,
do.
and
I just-
if we subrogate it and get it back, we're good. But, yes, Jane, if you can make a note to provide prior insurance from, say, 1990 past.
If you did, that's great.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
I was waiting for the denial to take the next step on where we were going. Okay, any further discussion? I'm sorry, who made that motion?
Nobody.
I'm not sure when Fred spoke, so I got funked. All right. John made the motion, I need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? We're on to discussion phase. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delarose.
Yes. Item M, authorization for early executive session, 6:30 PM on May 28th for discussion with the police chief in regards to personnel. Who makes that motion? We're authorizing a special executive session.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Next item, authorization to waive the permit fee for peddler's license for Scott Gabriel of Trackside. Trackside is every evening bringing their food trailer to DeLazier and giving proceeds of those sales to Triborough Little League. We've completely done the process with the Board of Health, background check, everything the police had to do for him to be there, including allowing parking with no problems on the Chestnut side. And now I'm recommending we waive the permit fee, which is $200, because the proceeds are going to Triborough Little League. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Is this at the Anderson Field?
No, DeLazier.
Oh, at the Leisure. What about, don't they have a stand there that's?
That's primarily footballs. Triborough has the right to use it, but they don't have the parents willing to staff it. Any further discussion? All in favor? Next item, accept and regret Mary Ellen Schneider's resignation from the Board of Health. We will need to fulfill an unexpired term through 12/31/15. Who makes that motion? Any discussion? Other than thank her for her years of service, and all in favor? I'm sorry. Item, the next item, this was a non-agenda item we added, which is authorization of 2 special public meetings on the 2013 budget. So I need a motion to authorize meetings on May 30th, 8 PM, and June 6th, 7:30 PM. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Mayor, if there's not going to be a quorum, then you don't have to have.
Well, we want to do it just in case.
So,
It's going to be a town hall format. Ray will present, I'm over the governing body, sits in the audience, and it's more conversational.
I was going to say, this is more of a town hall format.
But we could have a quorum attend.
Just
yeah, if you have a quorum, then you have to have minutes, and you have to have a public, just a public portion of the meeting, things like
the
that.
only item, I mean, I don't even know if there's an agenda. The only item
So
is.
do an agenda, budget presentation.
And it's an open format, so the whole meeting is an open public comment session.
We're talking about the budget. I'm pretty sure every governing body member, at least a quorum, is going to want to be there, so we have to do it this way. Let's be safe. Okay? Any further discussion?
Will you be presenting the budget, similar to the meeting we had?
Yeah, just an easy format for people to understand.
So you're going to
the
do
ins
that?
and the outs.
And are you going to do the same thing at the meeting in June 11th?
I could, if
Well, I meant
you wanna
that's
break it
the
out.
final. I'm just
Sure, we
curious.
can do it, if everyone agrees, we come in twos, then we don't have quorum, we don't have to change it.
Okay.
That's good, no, I don't think State's here, but you're going to do a presentation at a regular meeting.
If we have a quorum, Jane has to be there to do
No,
minutes.
that wasn't the question.
And it's a little less formal, too,
It's
because,
very nice.
if it's not a public meeting with minutes and.
Right.
But then we can't have a quorum.
Correct.
Would a quorum be considered if we just sat in the audience?
Yeah, it's,
All right.
we could do it 3 times.
Well, we're doing it 3 times, the 11th is the
Well, I
adoption.
should be there.
Okay, well, let's back up. If we can get a commit, well, see, no, you'll always have a quorum.
But Fred, would a quorum be considered if there were 3 people, the committee, and 1 other council
Yes.
person sat in the back of the
The reason
room?
why is because in theory then, the governing body is together and you could be influenced to make a decision down the road on something like the budget, then I would suggest you have to advertise.
That's what we're doing.
There's no voting at that?
Yes,
Just a
correct.
presentation?
And if they're not sitting together,
Right.
you're in the room.
But on the, will we adopt?
We're all there, it's a regular meeting.
That's
So the
Well,
mayor
that's a
also,
regular meeting.
That's June 11th, regular meeting.
but you're going to show a presentation of that also, correct? Like you did last year?
We could make that just,
Just, you did last year.
I have visions of the pilot
I mean, Joe's going to be here, he's going to go through it in a much higher level than.
On the 11th.
On the 11th, so I don't know if after he's done talking about it in a high level,
Oh, that's.
public has had their chance to come and understand.
What are we debating here? There's going to be a quorum, or potential thereof. We need to authorize this.
No, we're just,
Discussing.
Yeah, unless there's something.
Unless someone's going to raise their hand and say, I'm not coming.
I don't think we're just off track.
I'm gonna be at one of them, I'll tell you that.
Right. So,
Me too.
Just be
I got a baseball game now.
I have a baseball game on the 30th. so I need to- Okay, so was there a motion? I guess you confused me with.
Those are motions.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item, the other non-agenda item is I need authorization to give permission to Chief Burrell, guys, listen up, please, to seek bids on a new vehicle. We're not authorizing spending, we're just giving authorization to seek bids. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Discussion. Just for the record, we're going back on a cycle of how properly police cars should be replaced. The cycle has been blown, we're back on getting into rotation of it in 3 years. In order to do that, the vehicle he's going to bid now was funded in last year's budget. Okay? When the bid is received, it'll come back to you for final approval. The $420,000 bond ordinance, which declared another vehicle, after June 11th's final adoption, will be the second vehicle. There'll be 2 vehicles this year, and we're back on the rotation of 3. I didn't want you to think that this authorization was from the bond ordinance. It's not. It's from last year. We're not authorizing funds, so don't worry about it. So, we have a motion and a second. I apologize. And all in favor? All right. Okay. So Joe will seek those proposals. Excuse me? Yeah, just for the record, Jane had stated, and I followed suit, that the second and final reading for the $420,000 capital bond ordinance number 21, 2013, we said second final was June 4th. In error, it's June 11th, our regularly scheduled meeting. Okay. Yes. The zoning, is that what we stated would be June? Oh, my bad. Okay. We introduced by title the zoning ordinance.
I think it is. Yeah, I
Okay,
think we should-
so for the record, I'll amend the second final reading for the zoning map ordinance will be,
So I think just putting it off.
Right.
that's fine, so June 11th, okay? For the record, thank you. Okay, I need a motion to open late public comment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Anyone wishing to speak, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, motion to close. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, late executive session, actually, we have 2 matters of negotiation. Actually, I'll correct that to 3 matters of negotiation, 1 matter of personnel, and action may be taken after executive. We'll enter executive at 9:18, 10-minute recess. Jane, you ready? Yeah, I'm going to motion to come out of executive. So moved. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resume at 10:13, and there's one matter to deal with, and I need a motion to authorize our Chief Burrell to begin the interview process of a new police officer and allow him to give a promise to hire. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Yelsey.
Yes.
Coughlin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Okay. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yazdi and Sondemire second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.